Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon.
And I'm Amir. Sorry, I had to unmute.
And welcome to the Mustardcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, we'll start with media consuming. Amir, you can start.
Okay, I've been playing a lot of video games. I just beat Control last night, and I didn't realize that the version of Control that I got was the like Game of the Year edition or whatever like deluxe edition or whatever it was that came with all the DLCs. So as soon as I beat it and the credits roll, I was like, "Oh, awesome! I finally beat this game." Can't wait to like go do all the side missions that I completely ignored to continue on with the main story because I really. If there's one thing I can say about Control is that like there's only like 5 side quests that I actually cared about. Like, and there's a lot of side quests in that game. I didn't care about almost any of them. But I was like, okay, cool. Can't wait to go like start knocking off these side quests because no matter how much I care about the side quests, I love this game. And it turned out that it was the whatever edition that came with all the DLC. So it started the next DLC immediately. And I was like, wait a minute, what is this? I thought I beat the game, and it started me in a whole like next storyline. But I'm really enjoying the DLC so far. It's the Foundation DLC or whatever it is. So like you're in like one of the sub basements of the oldest house, and you're in like all these tunnels and stuff. It's really cool. Some of the puzzles are a little confusing. I'm not gonna lie. I consider myself decently smart, or at the very least not totally stupid. And I was honestly a little bit stumped at some of the puzzles. It took me a little bit for some of the puzzles. Um, I'm not gonna lie, one of them was really simple. I just was being dumb. Um, I finished Blood of Elves, which is the first Witcher book, or the first Witcher novel, I should say. I started the Sword of Destiny audiobook, and I started Time of Contempt in the physical book. I really do not like that audiobook because they gave Geralt an Irish accent, and I'm like, the only 2 voices I can hear for Geralt are video game Geralt and Henry Cavill Geralt, which granted both of those sound decently different from each other, but they gave him an Irish accent in the audiobooks, and I'm like, this is starting to mess with my head because now when I read the books I start hearing the Irish accent, and I'm like, no, stop, go away, that's not what I want to hear. But I'm enjoying that. I've been playing a lot of what's that game called, Deep Rock Galactic, which I said I wasn't going to play that game anymore because all the enemy types are spiders and I have severe arachnophobia, but I've been playing with my friends. I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. I've been playing Risk of Rain 2, which is a roguelike, which I think you would really like. It's a lot of fun. I'm playing that with my friends as well as solo. Risk of Rain 2.
Yeah, coincidentally, I was actually playing DDs again last night. That game is so fun. I had to take a break before getting back into it, but when I got back into it, it was fun.
I'm not. I can't say I'm not a roguelike fan because there are quite a few roguelikes I like, but like Risk of Rain is personally something a little special to me. I like it a lot. Also Ziggurat. If you haven't played Ziggurat, you should play Ziggurat. It's a lot of fun. It's like a magic first-person shooter themed roguelike. But I haven't been playing Ziggurat. I've been playing Risk of Rain. And what else? Alan Wake. Been playing Alan Wake Remastered, which is great. Everybody loves Alan Wake, as they should, because Alan Wake is amazing. And Witcher 3, been playing a lot more Witcher 3, and been playing a lot of Kenna Bridges Spirits. And I think that's everything. Pretty sure.
Yeah, so for me, I'm reading Swords of Destiny. I actually read I finished a chapter that I had paused on a couple weeks ago, and I'm finally finished it. It was a good chapter. And the ending had a really good twist that I was like, oh wow, that's a good twist. I wasn't expecting this. So yeah, that's been Swords of Destiny is fun. Watching Euphoria, season 2 aired. Euphoria is a good show. It's it can be a little depressing sometimes. I'm glad it's a weekly show because it can be a little much. I don't know if I could binge it, even though I feel like I binged like the first couple of episodes of the first season, but then I started watching it weekly because I caught up. But yeah, been watching Peacemaker and Book of Boba Fett. We'll talk about those two later. Superman Lois season 2 is on. I watched the first 2 episodes. Again, that show's really good. Superman's costuming isn't really good. I think the emblem could be a bit bigger and brighter, as well as the cape and the boots and like the belt. The red belt looks really good. a really bright red, but the blue and the yellow are like super muted. And I was like, why? Like make them brighter. Like the whole show is, it looks like Zack Snyder's Superman. And you know, I like that movie, but I just don't think that this version of Superman needs to be so, in terms of color grading, super dark and gray and drab. I mean, it's Superman. So like I want the colors to be a lot brighter. And it takes place in Smallville. I don't know why the colors are so drab. It kind of I kind of just hate the color grading in that show. I finished my rewatch of Cowboy Bebop live action. Watched the last episode, and you know, I stand by what I said. You know, I like it. But it's only like 30% Cowboy Bebop and 70% something else different. But honestly, I like that different. On my second rewatch, I was detaching it from the original series even more than I was when I was originally watching it. But of course, you know, you can't completely do that because the name is Cowboy Bebop after all. And honestly, I wish we could get a season 2 and further explore the world and characters that it created, because I feel like there's 2 directions that season 2 could have went. They could have took the internet's feedback and potentially make it more than 30% Bebop, and you know, made it more in line with the original, or they could have just went in their own direction and tried something new and just wrote a good story. Just write a good story and go in your own direction, do your own thing. Honestly, I think that this show would have been really good if it wasn't called Cowboy Bebop. Like episodes and episodes back, when we talked about DMC Devil May Cry, I feel the same way about this. How I said DMC Devil May Cry is such a different game from the original Devil May Cry series that if you change the name of every single one of the characters, they already look completely different. So if you just change the name of every single one of the characters, DMC Devil May Cry, and the name of the game, obviously, DMC Devil May Cry could have been its own game, inspired by Devil May Cry, and I think that it would have had a better reception. I feel the same way about this Cowboy Bebop show. You name it something different. You change the characters' names, you change the way the characters look, and some of the character beats, which are very few and far in between, that are specifically, obviously, from the original show, you take those out and switch them around, and you have just a Cowboy Bebop inspired show, because this show is already very different from Cowboy Bebop, and that's why a lot of people don't like it. But if you look at it as just its own thing, it's actually a pretty good show, and I like it. And I wish it could get a season 2. Honestly, I wish they would just bring it back and continue the story, but completely make it a new show, its own show. I think that would be hilarious. But yeah, whenever you get a chance to check it out, we got to have a deep conversation about it. I watched Avatar, the James Cameron movie with the blue aliens, a couple of days ago. That movie still visually looks beautiful, man. 2009, bro. That movie came out 2009. And it looks amazing. It's also really long. I knew that going in. It's like, oh, it's 2 hours 40 something minutes. But yeah, I really like that movie. A lot of people don't like that movie. I like it. I think that people, you know, obviously the internet only works in extremes. People either really love something or really hate something. You know, you never see the in between on the internet, because the extremes are the ones that get, you know, megaphoned. So I think Avatar isn't a bad movie. It's not the best movie in the world, and it's a very basic storyline. You know, it's your Pocahontas, your you know, Seven Samurai. It's that type of story where somebody comes in and helps the native people protect themselves against invaders. And I enjoy that story. Some people call it white savior-ish, and I can see where they're coming from. I can't blame them with that, but I don't think it's entirely just a traditional white savior story. But I'm excited for the second movie. I don't know if it needs 4 more movies, but at least 1 more movie. And supposedly the next Avatar movie will be taking place underwater. So I'm interested to see what they do with that. I also, actually, before I get to that, I finished Halo Infinite campaign, and I'm currently going through the open world and just trying to 100% the game, because that game is really fun. The story was okay. It wasn't that great, but the gameplay is just fun. And I've been playing a lot of multiplayer. They finally added Fiesta as just a regular mode, because at first it was a limited time mode. But Fiesta essentially is when you play quick play and you play Slayer. Slayer is essentially just team deathmatch. You get an assault rifle and the pistol, the sidekick. And there are weapons that spawn throughout the map that you can pick up. But with Fiesta, all of those weapons within the game, every time you die and respawn, you get 2 new weapons. because in Halo you don't make your loadout. You just start with your assault rifle and a sidekick, and then you go and find a weapon on the map. But in Fiesta, you respawn with a bunch of different weapons, and Fiesta is fun. But I also play Control. I don't like Control. So because you have PS4 and you're playing Control on it, it takes forever to load. So I transferred it from the HDD to the SDD on the PS5 so that it could load faster, so I could play it. I started to play it and immediately got bored and cut it off and started playing Miles Morales, which is my comfort game, and just swung around and did some random crimes. So yeah, that's all I got for we're media I'm consuming. But before we go on to animation, how do you feel about the Avatar, like the movie? Did you like the movie?
I didn't like the movie, but I didn't hate it. I honestly never watched it until I was like 15, because growing up in California, we had this what's the, I don't remember what the store is called. It's like Save a Lot here, but like California grocery outlet, bargain market or something like that. And it's like they have this toy section in the back. I remember this vividly because that was like the only reason I wanted to go there was to go in the toy section. I was like, what, like 4? So, well, I wasn't 4, I was older than that. But I always wanted to go back there, and they used to always have like the Avatar toys, and I was like, these toys look boring. And then I watched the movie when I was 15, and I was right. I was just bored throughout the entire movie. But I mean, it's not a bad movie, but I just did not find anything interesting about the movie at all.
That's fair. It's also really long, but
It is a very long movie.
I think it also can make a really good video game, but all the video games they've made have been bad.
Honestly, the world just doesn't interest me that much, which I think is part of the reason that I'm not all that excited for the Ubisoft video game. And also, Disney made a literal world of Pandora, which was supposed to be. Do you know about the Beastly Kingdom for what was supposed to be Animal Kingdom?
Yeah,
it was supposed to be Beastly Kingdom, and they were going to be like dragons and wizards and knights, and that sounds amazing. And they turned into Avatar, and
yeah, but
my disappointment was terrible.
Pandora's beautiful. It's nice to look at. Okay,
and it is beautiful.
Also,
dragons and knights and wizards.
But there's also dragons and basically kind of magic in Avatar. But I like the world. I like the world of Avatar and the world building a lot. But moving on to animation. The Cuphead Show trailer. Did you check that out?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's coming up on February 18th, the same day that Horizon Zero Dawn releases. I've been wanting to see that show for a minute. They showed a clip a long time ago with the Dice Dude singing, and I forget who's voicing him. Wayne Brady. Wayne Brady is voicing the Dice Dude. I don't know his name, but yeah, I'm interested in that show. But Cuphead sounds very different than what I thought he was gonna sound like. He has like an English accent or something like that. It's odd. I didn't expect him to sound that way, but I'm really interested in the show. Obviously, animation of the game was inspired by old Disney cartoons, and this show is taking that and making it an actual cartoon rather than a video game. So I'm interested in seeing it. Anything you have to say?
I just muted as soon as you said that. No, not really. I mean, I like the game, but like my interest in Cuphead is just like with Avatar. It's not really there. Like I think it's cool, but like I'm not really excited for the show. I'll check it out probably. I'll probably love the show, but overall, it's just how I'm feeling about it.
But yeah, moving on to comics. I finally read Nubia, but I'll start off with Wonder Girl. Wonder Girl is canceled. Yara Flores' Wonder Girl will conclude with issue 7. I believe it was supposed to have 8 issues, and then it was going to go, and then they were going to go into the Trial of the Amazons event, which was going to, involve, all of the Amazon characters and Wonder Woman's characters, Wonder Woman, Nubia, Yara Flor, the other Wonder Girls, Donna Troy, and Cassie Sandsmark. But yeah, it's ending. I really like the comic. I like Yara Flor, and I want to just see them do a lot more with Yara Flor as a character. So hopefully she has a big role to play in some other comics, and just makes her way into the DC universe in a meaningful way to the point where they eventually decide to bring her comic back. But Joelle Jones did an amazing job on the art. On the writing side, it's okay. I'm not going to pretend like it's the most beautifully written story in the world. It's cool. It's fine. The art's great though, and I was enjoying it. So I'm sad to see it go, but It might come back someday. And she'll be in trial with the Amazons. But Nubia, finally read issue 3 of Nubia and then I immediately read issue 4, and I currently have issue 5 downloaded, and I'm going to read that later. So Medusa escaped her imprisonment and is taking over the bodies of Amazons that she can search for her head. She fights one of the Nubia to clear her head, goes to this like tournament in the Mascara, where she fights one of the newly resurrected Amazons, because I talked about in previous episodes the way new Amazons are created essentially with the Mascara is that they are born from I believe it's called the Well of Souls, where women who are killed through man's violence are reborn on the Mascara to live out their lives. So yeah, she fights a newly resurrected Amazon named Andromeda in the tournament, and resulting in Andromeda having visions of her old life, which may have involved Nubia, because Nubia was also resurrected from the Well of Souls, and that's how she came to Themyscira. That's her origin. And in issue 4, another one of the new Amazons, Bia, has a vision of Nubia killing 2 Amazonians, and Medusa takes over Andromeda's body and promises to unearth her memories in exchange for help finding her head. I read Nightwing. Finally, I read what is it, Tom Taylor? Tom Taylor's Nightwing.
Finally, Jesus Christ! It's been like 5 months. Like,
what is the artist's name?
Bruno something or other. I don't remember his name. I follow him on Instagram. That's it.
Yeah, I follow Instagram too. But his art is amazing. Let me look up his name actually, because I got to give him his respect. Bruno Redondo. So yeah, Tom Taylor's and Bruno's Nightwing is really good. I've read, but here's where I didn't start from the beginning. The reason I read it is because issue 88 released and Wally was in it, and I was like, oh, it's my boy Wally. I gotta read it. And it was actually a really good starting point for me. I'm gonna go back and read the first volume now that I'm actually into the comic. But yeah, it was a good issue. It essentially reunited the not the OG Teen Titans, but the OG new Teen Titans with Starfire, Donna, Wally, Dick, Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Raven, and that was cool. So I've also been reading The Flash. I've read 3 issues, but I'm only going to talk about 1 issue today. I'm going to save the other 2 issues for our next episode, because I read a lot of comics over the last week, and I don't have enough time to talk about every single one of them. But in this first issue, where Wally became the one and only Flash, while Barry went off to do some multiversal shenanigans, Wally essentially goes on a father-daughter dance with Iray to her school, but it's interrupted by a supervillain. Hardware, Milestone Comics. After Hardware's suit was damaged in a shootout with the police, he goes to an old acquaintance for help. That acquaintance is Asher Sim, a former business partner of the man that betrayed Hardware, Edwin Alvin. And he also betrayed Asher. So Alvin figures, since they both hate the dude who betrayed them, he could help them out. So he went there to fix his suit, but Alvin called Asher and essentially promised him to give him back the work that he stole from him if he sells out Hardware. So Hardware is really good so far. Of all of the Milestone comics, I think Hardware currently is my favorite. Aquaman, The Becoming. Jackson's sister takes him and his mother back to Zebel, where she reveals the injustice done to them and a secret and violent past of his mother. Aquaman, The Becoming is really good. You should read it, bro. Put that on your watch list, man. It's good. Aquaman, The Becoming is really good right now. Yeah, those are all the comics I read. Actually, that's not true. There's more, but I'm saving them for another time. TV and film. So we don't have an official music section. So I'm just going to throw this here, and we're going to talk about the Batman theme. You've heard it. You've listened to it, right?
Yeah.
How'd you like it? How'd you feel about
it? I
wait.
feel like I'm going to disappoint you with this answer.
Hold on. Before you say that. But a few days ago, the official Batman theme was released by Michael Giacchino. For those who don't know, Giacchino has scored all 3 Spider-Man, MCU Spider-Man films. He scored the first Doctor Strange movie, Jojo Rabbit, the Lost TV series, and The Incredibles, which The Incredibles is a fire soundtrack. So he has a good track record. But yeah, go ahead.
I like the beginning and I like the end of it. There is a large chunk in the middle of it where I'm just not a fan of it. It sounds more like a love theme than anything, and I'm like, I'd imagine that for like a Batman and Catwoman type of theme, but like for just Batman himself, that's not, or like something to portray Gotham, that's not really what I would have
Yeah, so
liked.
I it made me so much more hyped for the movie. Ever since I first heard the theme in the first trailer at the end, the little like dun dun dun, I was like, oh, this is great. I need this to release right now. I need this just this theme song. And then I was on Twitter and Matt Reeves had posted like the theme is up and on all streaming services. And I was like, I'm listening to it right now. Ooh, my bad. And yeah, I loved it. Honestly, the parts that you don't like, I think in the very middle, like after like it starts off with those notes that we're used to, then it builds into something a little lighter, and then it gets really loud and kind of bombastic, and it feels like it doesn't feel like dark like Gotham and I was about to say Superman and Batman is, but to me it feels more heroic, and it's meant to portray the side of Batman that isn't just dark and brooding, but a hero that's there to actually save people. Whereas, we constantly hearing that this movie is going to be about his, the trauma he's gone through since his parents died, and him, dealing with mental illness, but also even the trailer hints at the fact that he's going to go through a journey in this movie of becoming not just a person who's fighting for vengeance and anger over what happened to his parents, but he's going to eventually grow into a hero that's fighting to prevent that from happening to anyone else. And that this song felt like that to me. And that part close to the middle where it gets real loud and it's real light, I like that part. It feels heroic while also to me still feeling like Batman. And then the very end is that very familiar, those piano notes that we hear constantly in the trailers. But it starts off slow, and it slowly gets louder and louder. They add bells and then cellos and then violins and then horns and a bunch of other wind instruments, and then it just turns into something real big and epic and intimidating. And then it gets quiet again and goes back to those notes they play at the end of every trailer. But it was good. I loved it. I loved every second of it. And I listened to it for like an hour straight the night it came out, and I've listened to it a lot more after that since then. So yeah, I like it. I can't wait to hear the entire soundtrack and how the song is used within the context of the movie. I feel like maybe how it's used in the context of the movie might make you like it more.
I can almost guarantee that the middle section that I don't like, that I said I feel like should be a Batman and Catwoman theme, is probably going to be a lot of Catwoman scenes. I can already guarantee it.
Most likely.
But did you see the clip that released the little of the funeral scene?
I didn't see a funeral scene. I saw a clip that released of when the moment in the trailer where like the car burst through that building.
Well, I mean that was a funeral.
That was a funeral. Oh, that was a
funeral. They were at a funeral.
I didn't know that was a funeral. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't even. Now you're thinking about it, everybody was wearing black, weren't they?
I was like, wait a minute. I'm expecting a whole nother scene that I didn't realize got released here. Like, oh yeah, the car crash. I'm like, wait, that is the funeral. But I saw that scene, and that scene was amazing. I already know this movie is going to be like one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm so hyped for this.
Yeah, that song made me like hearing that song and knowing what they're going to do with the character really made me more excited. But you made me aware of a Godzilla series that's going to be on Apple TV Plus. It will take place in the aftermath of the 2014 Godzilla film and focus on a family secret connection to Monarch, but it's being co-created by the one and only Matt Fraction, who wrote the infamous Hawkeye run along with David Aja on the art. And that piqued your interest a little bit more. I still don't care about it. I don't care that Matt Fraction's involved. It's going to be focusing on the humans, and I don't care about them. I want to see giant monster kill people.
See, and I felt the same way until I saw that Matt Fraction was involved, because Matt Fraction, I've not read a Matt Fraction story that I haven't absolutely fallen in love with. He actually did the 2006 Iron Fist run, which I didn't realize until I had reread it like I think like maybe last year was when I figured out that he and David Aja did the art for the first half of that run, which is one of the best things like for the Iron Fist character, completely redefined the character. And I hadn't realized that. And it makes sense because of all the Iron Fist jokes in his Hawkeye series. Everyone's like, "Are you Iron Fist?" And he's like, "No, I'm not Iron Fist." But it's funny because it's drawn and written by the same people, and he does kind of look a little bit like Iron Fist.
There's a white guy with blonde hair.
Yeah, and it's hilarious because like when he saved Lucky the dog, and he went to go to the vet shelter, and like the mob tried to like jump him, and he was like, "Guys, okay, I'm an Avenger," and the guy's like, are you Iron Fist?" He's like, "What? No, I'm not Iron Fist." But no, if there's one thing Matt Fraction can do, it's write a really good story. So I'm expecting this to be good. I do want monsters just killing people. I think it was either you or one of the group chats on it where I was like, I just want 5 to 8 seasons of 30 minutes of Godzilla just like completely stomping other giant monsters. Like that's all I want.
You know who could make a really good Godzilla animated series? Gendy Tartakovsky, who makes Samurai Jack and the 2003 Clone Wars series, and he has and he made Dexter's Laboratory, and and he worked on I forget what it's called, that vampire animated movie, I forget, but he has a current series called Primal that's about like a caveman and a dinosaur, and you know most of his works are like mostly there's no dialogue, it's just like the sounds of like the nature and stuff, and you know the sound effects of people fighting. So I feel like he could do a really good animated like monsterverse story that goes between like, you know, Godzilla and a bunch of other monsters in that universe, and maybe even some humans every now and again, but mostly the monsters.
Honestly, there was a comment that got me a while ago, or I think it was like back when Godzilla versus King Kong was like first popping around and everything, which wouldn't necessarily work just because of how powerful they are, but they were like, what if the monsterverse winds up tying in like Cthulhu and Lovecraftian monsters? And I want something along the lines of that. Again, it wouldn't really work because Cthulhu would literally blink Godzilla out of existence, but like I want something like that with like actual horror behind the monsters. If you're gonna tie a story to like a family in a world full of giant monsters that destroy cities with like a single footstep, I feel like something closer to Cloverfield, but like not found footage, where like the horror of you being completely like you're inconsequential, something sort of Lovecraftian, but not quite, because instead of like the threats of just like existentialism, it's more the threat of like these people will walk over you just to go on their morning walk, like they don't even know you exist type of thing. Like something closer to that, like a horror. I don't know. You get what I'm saying, right?
You remember that video game Evolve, made by EA? No, not EA. 2K.
It sounds familiar, but
like
no,
the one with like you play this like 4 people hunting a monster and vice versa, and like the monster slowly upgrades and gets stronger. And there was like this Kraken, I think it was just called Kraken type monster that looked like kind of like Cthulhu. That was a game I used to play that game a decent amount. It was all right. It fell off real hard. I'm not surprised you don't remember it, but it was cool when it was cool, which was probably around like 2014, like early on in like the PS4, Xbox One generation. But yeah, what we're describing kind of remind me of that. And I could imagine something like that, but with the smaller monsters, like a group of humans with like advanced technology going after smaller versions of, you know, those monsters in the monsterverse, but that monster slowly like getting stronger and bigger, and them having to try and combat it could be interesting. But yeah, moving on. Hawkeye, deleted scenes, added a lot more Kingpin scenes and actually shows Clint's backstory, which is something I definitely wanted to see in that show. And I'm so sad that they cut out so many of these. There was even a scene where they show Echo meeting that tracksuit dude who she was friends with. Like when she was like in that scene where she was like doing karate or whatever, he was there, and like there was a scene of him like talking to her and talking about like, you know, he was he was just as young as she was, and was talking about like, my dad works with your dad, and she couldn't hear him obviously, and she started like teaching him a little bit of sign language. And just watching these deleted scenes, I'm like, man, they are really restricting themselves with this like 6-episode thing, because either make the episodes longer or add a couple more episodes. Me, you talked about it before, how at first I was like, Falcon and Winter Soldier could have used a couple less episodes, and then eventually I was like, you know what, it could have used one more episode, because there was some loose ends I feel like they tried to tie up too fast. But yeah, have you seen any of those clips of like the deleted scenes?
No, I actually didn't even know they existed.
Oh wow, I didn't know
And
that.
when you said Hawkeye deleted scenes, my eyes perked up. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, there was a
What
deleted
deleted
scene
scenes?
of Hawkeye as a kid, um, and his mother, and that was interesting. There was also a scene that straight up showed Kingpin meeting young Maya. Like, you remember that scene where like, he said your uncle's gonna take you home. In that scene, they would have actually showed Kingpin, and he would have sat down and be like, "We're gonna go get ice cream," and like signed it. And I don't like the way they handled Kingpin in the Hawkeye series. I think he should have showed up earlier, maybe an episode earlier. Like in that scene, honestly, I wouldn't have been mad, but that was like the second episode of the series. I don't think he needed to show up in the very second episode of the series, but he should have showed up like halfway through the series in like the fourth episode and been like a looming figure like half through that final half of the series. Not a big fan of how they handled them, but yeah, you're gonna have to check those behind the scenes. I mean, deleted scenes out. Batgirl Suit was revealed, and it is based off her Burnside suit, which is one of my favorite Batgirl suits. I really like it, but a lot of people don't. Well, a lot of people don't like that story, and because of that, they by proxy they don't like the suit. But also a lot of people don't like the suit, and I know you don't like the suit. I like the suit, and I think it works really well as a like a prototype suit, like her first suit that she just builds out of like leather, like a leather jacket and some leather pants, and she puts some straps on it to hold her different gadgets and stuff, and she puts a cape over it, and she makes a helmet. And I just think it works good as a first a beginner suit, basically. I just wish that there was more yellow on both like the straps and stuff, as well as the gloves, which are black instead of yellow. And I wish the boots are yellow, but they're like a really muted yellow. And I feel like these are comic books, man. Like, it's okay to be bright sometimes. I feel like a lot of comic book movies are afraid to be bright. Like, give me that yellow. And when she finally gets that black and yellow costume, though, she better have yellow. She better have long yellow gloves and boots. And under that cape better be yellow. That symbol better be a bright yellow. I want some yellow. Like, don't be afraid of it, man. Make it yellow. But yeah, I know you don't like it, but how do you feel about it?
I don't like the suit. I also don't like the story. I really don't like Batgirl Burnside like at all. Like everything I love about Barbara Gordon as a character is pretty much just kind of trampled over in that story. And part of the reason I don't like the suit, I suppose, has to do with the fact that I don't like the story. But at the same time, Gotham Knights did a variation of that suit as her starter suit, and I love that far more than almost every other Batgirl suit. I feel like that Batgirl Burnside suit could work with some major differences.
You know what I think is literally the natural evolution of the Burnside suit that is like a version of the Burnside suit that's better. You remember in Nightwing, Batgirl's most recent suit is very Burnside inspired. I like that suit more than the Burnside suit. I think that is a better version of the Burnside suit. Would you agree?
I like her current suit as well. I don't think it's a variation of the Burnside suit. Honestly, I found it more of a variation of her pre-50 suit.
If you look at the design notes, it very much is. He says like this is based off the Burnside suit. Certain elements about it is like based off the Burnside suit. It's meant to be like, it's not meant to straight up be the Burnside suit, but it is inspired by parts of the Burnside suit.
I haven't seen the design notes since the suit first was revealed, because I look at the design notes once, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I save it for later in case I want to like use it for something, and then I just never go back to design notes like ever. But
I hold on to those. I think you followed me on Instagram. You probably saw that I posted that picture of Nightwing suit in my story, his new suit, in the story.
With the finger stripes.
Yeah. But yeah, I like her current suit a lot. Honestly, I think I definitely like it more than the Burnside suit. And it's slowly low-key becoming one of my favorite Batgirl suits, because instead of purple, which is more, a color that Stephanie Brown wears, it's instead of purple, it's blue. Like a purplish blue, but not really. It's just straight up blue. And I like the way the blue, black, and yellow just look together, along with her red hair. I just think those three colors really work together very, very well. And I really like the black and yellow suit of hers. but I might like her current suit at the moment better than her black and yellow suit. I know you like her black and yellow suit. That's like your favorite suit of hers.
My favorite suit of hers is the Gotham Knight suit. I'm not gonna lie, but I do like the black and yellow one.
Yeah, yeah, the Gotham Knight suit's pretty cool. Is it? Wait, are you specifically the one that she starts with, or the one that they showed when she was like fighting Mr. Freeze?
The one that she starts with. I like the one where she was fighting Mr. Freeze, but I haven't seen a like clear enough picture of that one yet. Because like I haven't paused to like look at it, and all the pictures that I found are like her in movement in that suit.
Oh, I hate this suit.
You hate the suit? What? No, this is a perfect.
It reminds me of her rebirth suit, and I hate her rebirth suit, bro.
I don't like her rebirth suit, but if she had a cowl on this suit, it would be perfect. This is what I wanted out of the Burnside suit.
I'm gonna be honest with you, because this really do reminds me of the Burnside suit. Okay, so here's the thing. I instinctively was like, I hate it because it reminds me of the rebirth suit, because I hate that suit so much. I hate it with a passion. I hate the cowl or the mask. It's not even a cowl, it's a mask. If she had a cowl, it would go from like a 7 to an 8.
The cowl, yeah, no, the cowl is what sells it for me. Like, I don't like Batgirl with a mask because it feels very childlike to me to see Barbara Gordon in a mask. And part of her whole original character arc is being seen from a little girl to a woman.
Yeah, the more I look at this costume, it reminds me of her current costume, man. I like that costume. So like, especially the colors, which I'm actually specifically looking at a design sheet for her costume that they made for like cosplayers, and it says specifically that it's not purple, it's blue, the colors that she's wearing. And I like when she's wearing like a dark blue with a mixture of a bit of a kind of grayish blue with alongside the yellow and her red hair. Like I said, I think those colors just go really well together. So yeah, I feel you, because this does mix a bit of that Burnside in the gloves and the boots. So yeah, I see why you like it. Again, I hate the mask, but everything else looks good.
Yeah, no, I'm always, for Barbara Gordon specifically, I'm always a cowl person, like 110% always a cowl person for Barbara Gordon. But I prefer Barbara Gordon as Oracle regardless, but if she has to be Batgirl, then that's the variation of the suit I want, just with a cowl. As soon as I get Gotham Knights, I'm searching for a cowl for Barbara Gordon, and that's what I'm putting on that suit. I'm keeping the rest of the suit the same.
I'm a sucker for an all yellow cape, and she wears an all yellow cape in this. But yeah, moving on. Moon Knight. We got a trailer for Moon Knight. Excuse me, I have to burp. All right, we got a trailer for Moon Knight, and it looked good. I'm interested in the show. Before I'm gonna watch like every MCU show that's made, but some of them I'm just like, until I see something, I don't really care too much. But this one, after this trailer, I'm really excited for it, and it's going to be the next one, and it's coming out on March 30th. So I'm excited for that. Which was it? Multiverse of Madness also comes out in March. I forget which day. Do you remember which day? But yeah,
I do not remember which day Multiverse of Madness comes out. I honestly forgot that it came out in March. I don't know why I had April in my head. I don't know why.
Because it got pushed back.
Okay.
It comes out May.
That makes me sense.
It comes out May 6th, so it's coming out like a week after. So you know what that might mean, because you know what they did with Hawkeye. The episode that came out the week before No Way Home released in theaters. They spoiler. Well, why am I spoiling it when I was literally just talking about Hawkeye? I mean Kingpin not too long ago. They showed Kingpin, and then this is a spoiler alert. They showed Daredevil in the movie. So maybe Hawkeye will tie into the movie in some sort of way. And that's why that last episode is coming out a week before Multiverse of Madness.
I can see it.
Yeah, I'm excited for Moon Knight. How you feeling about that?
I love Moon Knight as a character. I feel like I go through like this weird like cycle where like I will literally obsess over Moon Knight for like a month and a half, and then just forget about him for 6 months, and then obsess over him for like a month and a half. It happens all the time. But I am very interested in the show. I love Moon Knight as a character. This show looks very good. I hate the suit 110%. We talked about the suit when it first got revealed. This is maybe my least favorite variation of the Moon Knight suit.
That black and white Moon Knight suit has grown on me a little bit more because I saw an artist draw it that I was like, okay, I like the way that artist draws it, but I still stand by the fact that I prefer Moon Knight when he wears all white.
If Moon Knight wears all white, I do like. Now here's the thing about this Moon Knight suit. I feel like it's way too busy. He looks like a mummy, which I guess works for the theme of him being like the consort of an Egyptian god. I said that's not at all what he is. Like like he's the avatar of this Egyptian god, which like I get, but like he looks like a mummy, and I don't like that. I like Moon Knight looking like a. Did you just look up a consort?
No, because I was like, I'm pretty sure consort has something to do with a lover, and then I looked it up and it said,
Yeah, that's.
and then it said wife or husband. I was just like, he's the husband of consort.
That's why my head was like, wait a minute, that's not what that's not at all what Moon Knight is. Wait a second, but like I don't like Moon Knight looking like a mummy. This suit is way too busy for me. I like my Moon Knight. I like my Moon Knight very, not gonna say clean, but like the busiest I like my Moon Knight is that black and white suit or the Mr. Knight suit, which the Mr. Knight suit I guess you could say is busy, but like kind of not because it's just like a all white suit.
Just a white like, suit.
Yeah, it's literally a white three-piece suit and a mask and some gloves, but like this Moon Knight looks way too busy. And then they show a shot in the trailer, which I can almost guarantee is like part of his schizophrenia or whatever, where like the suit comes onto him like venom. And I didn't like that at all either. That was like, I didn't like that.
You know what I'm excited for? Some werewolves.
How did I know you were going to say that? No, you were going to.
You know I like werewolves. And I hope Werewolf by Night is in this because I like werewolves and I want to see a werewolf. And it would I just, you know how we just talked about the potential connection to Multiverse of Madness. What if Blade shows up in the finale? And then he's also in Multiverse of Madness.
I just want a Midnight Suns TV show. Oh, so like
we're for sure getting a movie or a Midnight Suns movie or TV show.
Okay. Like I want one so bad. I want a Midnight Suns movie or TV show. I want a Defenders TV show.
Yeah,
I don't care.
They got to bring back Daredevil and Iron Fist. I'm okay with them bringing back the actor as long as he is better. But
see, I personally love Finn Jones. I know how you feel about Finn Jones. I want the whole cast of the original Defenders back.
Like I said, I'll accept Finn Jones if he does if he can do good, you know. But everybody else is great. I think everybody else is great as their characters.
Yeah, I didn't even really like Kristen Ritter just as an actress personally, but like she's grown on me a lot. So like you can bring back the entire cast for Defenders, but do an actual Defenders show.
You definitely need Daughters of the Dragon.
And oh my god, I would kill for Daughters of the Dragon show. But like I want a Heroes for Hire show. Obviously, I don't understand why it took them so long to do one and then they didn't wind up doing it.
I wouldn't be surprised if when they bring back Iron Fist and I was about to call him Power Man like I did last time and Luke Cage. I wouldn't be surprised if instead of giving them their own individual show, they go straight to Heroes for Hire.
Because honestly, I would be okay with that. I would be perfectly okay with that.
Everybody already knows who the characters are. They're at this point they're pretty popular characters. So like in the Marvel comics currently, why do I keep wanting to call him Power Man? Luke Cage is everywhere, and Iron Fist is Iron Fist. So like they don't have to do their origins again. They could just do Hero for Hire, and everybody would like it. Like we don't need to necessarily go through their origins again.
And not just that, if they wanted to do character focused things, they could do a character focused like or episode arc where like 2 or 3 episodes of like an actual arc for either Iron Fist or Luke Cage, because it's only 2 people and sometimes like 5 people, because sometimes Shang-Chi and Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, like sometimes they're part of the Heroes for Hire, but like if that's still not that big of a team to where you couldn't do character focused episodes and then force other characters to suffer as a byproduct. Like that's a perfect team to really do not only team up stories, but like character focused stories. Like I don't.
Yeah, I feel like they don't even need to make a Defenders show like they did with Netflix. They could do like what the CW does and have like a crossover event where like the Daughters of the Dragon and Daredevil and Heroes for Hire crossover and have like a 3-episode crossover event that spans over all 3 shows.
Yeah, I would be completely down for that. it pains me that the 2017 Defenders run, which is the only Defenders run that actually has Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones as the Defenders, be like the based off the Netflix show. Because of course, if you're a comic fan, you know Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, the Hulk, like they were the original Defenders. But like I like that team as the Defenders so much more. You know, personally, and I guess everyone that watches this podcast probably realizes I like street level characters a lot more. And like the vibe and feel of that series, I need that series back, man. I need that series back ASAP.
I like street level characters a lot, but also just, man, I like the cosmic side of the MCU specifically at the moment. I think it's really cool. And I was thinking the other day about how the power scale of the MCU works and how kind of well it's balanced. Because now that the world's opened up to more, it's universal and it's no longer just on Earth. You don't need the OP characters to be on Earth anymore because there are other problems in space that they can deal with. And it's like Superman. People say that it's hard to write a Superman story because of how powerful he is. But to write a Superman story, what you have to do is scale up the problems to fit Superman. And with characters like Captain Marvel, Thor, Icarus, and eventually Nova when he's introduced, you scaled the problems. And since they were in space, you give them galaxy level problems that they can deal with because that's how powerful they are. Whereas then you have Spider-Man, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and all of them dealing with the street level stuff on Earth. I just like that dynamic of like the power scaling. But yeah, Oscar Isaac is doing an English accent as Stephen Grant, and I heard that he'll be using different voices for each character to like differentiate between them. So that'll be interesting to see him do. Because he was doing a pretty good English accent. I saw people in the comments going like, I'm English, and that's a pretty good English accent. So I'll take their word for it. And also I'm thinking about hopping into some of the comics. I'm gonna have to ask you for some recommendations later. But Book of Boba Fett. I had a feeling this would happen, but in episode 3, the flashback was much shorter, and in episode 4, they straight up finished the flashbacks. The flashbacks are done. Boba was fully healed. Obviously, spoiler alert. But yeah, now we're going to be focusing more on the modern day timeline. And before I go on, have you seen the last 2 episodes?
Of course I've seen the last 2 episodes. You're like gonna ask me that I've seen the last, of course. This isn't Young Justice.
That's got to be sure. I don't want to go spoiling stuff and then you didn't see it. But yeah, flashback is over. He's got Black Chris Hansen. I call him Black Chris Hansen because that's what it sounds like. He's got him on his side now, and he's gonna get Mando, which I'm excited to see Mando come back. Dijon, he's great. One of my favorite bounty hunters, probably my second favorite after Cad Bane, because Cad Bane is definitely my favorite, and I hope he shows up. I want Cad Bane so bad in live action. I love Cad Bane. When he showed up in the Bad Batch, it was so good. The music was so good. That song that played when he showed up, I listened to routinely because it was so good. But yeah, how do you feel about this show overall?
I like the show overall. I feel like a lot of people hate on the show because they don't understand how proper storytelling and pacing works. And while I fully agree about the flashbacks needed to either be shorter or just be their own episodes, I feel like it worked to the absolute, like the degrees that it did. And it's funny because I'm seeing all these memes about like people being like, oh, Book of Boba Fett is so great in episode 4. And then people like start memeing and they're like, oh, it's almost like that's how proper story structure works. So I'm like, yeah, see, people are impatient. I am also impatient, but so, I'm really liking it.
If I'm being honest, I feel like they should have just done it in chronological order. I think that they should have, instead of going to flashbacks, which take up like majority of the episodes, the first 2 episodes should have just been the flashbacks and then moved on to the modern day. And it should have been like that. I agree that the pacing is off because the flashbacks are so awkwardly placed and they take up so much time that I feel like they should have just done it in chronological order. Let's start off from when he got a Sarlacc pit, show him with the Tuskens. He becomes an honorary Tusken. He takes down the Pike train. They die. He goes, avenges them. He gets his shit back. He saves Ming-Na Wen's character, and then we're back in the modern day. I think they should have done that. And I feel like that would have only taken up the first 2, maybe, and then maybe like half of the 3rd episode. And then I feel like then from then on out, it would have been modern day timeline. Either that or just pace out the flashbacks better. I feel like the pacing of the Flash was weird, but I'm liking the show. Overall, I'm enjoying it. Like I'm not disliking it, but I definitely see the complaints and understand them and agree with some of them. Anything else you got to say about Boba Fett before we go into Peacemaker?
I have a little bit to say about Boba Fett. So, firstly, the cybernetic people.
Yeah,
I do not get Star Wars vibes off of them. I'm not complaining about the cybernetic people, but they feel like Cyberpunk 2077 characters. Like when you walked into the place, I just got straight River Dog flashback.
When he walked in and I saw that person, I was like, is that Thundercat? And I was like, there's no way that's Thundercat. And then at the end of the credits, it said Thundercat. And I was like, what? I was like, there's no way Thundercat is just randomly in this movie. If you don't know who Thundercat is, he's a bassist and a musician whose music I love because I love the bass.
I was gonna say I did not know who that was.
Yeah, he's a musician whose music I love. He's there's a famous meme that uses one of his songs, a song called Funny Things. But I'll send you the song. You'll probably hear it and go, okay, he made that song. I know what that is. But yeah, when I saw him, I was like, why is he in this show? Is he like friends with like the composer Ludwig? Because I was like, why is he here? I wouldn't be surprised if he's in it because he's friends with the composer. But yeah, it felt really random. They don't, you're right. They do feel like something from Cyberpunk. I can't say that they don't necessarily feel like Star Wars. They don't feel like Tatooine. If they were on Coruscant, I think I wouldn't have batted an eye. I think if they were on Coruscant, I would have been like, that's just people on Coruscant. But on Tatooine, it looks out of place. But I don't think it doesn't. I don't feel like it looks out of place for Star Wars in general.
You might be right about that. I might need to see them on like a different planet, like not even just Tatooine. If I saw them on like Corellia, which is like notoriously, whereas like Tatooine, or not Tatooine, whereas like Coruscant is like the lower down you get, the grimier and dirtier you get. Corellia is like that just all throughout the planet. Like it doesn't matter where you are. It's always gonna be grimy, criminal, like everywhere. I feel like if I saw them on Corellia or something, I also feel like if they were less colorful, like the colors they chose were very bright, and like I was like,
yeah, especially since there's like, I don't know. I just wonder how they keep it clean with all that sand, because I feel like at the very least they should have been a little dirty. But also,
that's what I thought immediately. Also, he was like, you're not going to cover her up, and he was like, and cover all this beautiful metal or cover all this beautiful machinery. I'm like, you're on a desert planet, so yes, that's like you don't want it to get like like sand in that, like
it makes like I think with the bikes it makes sense because they want to. Of course, you want to keep your bike clean, but like you said, like why would you not want to cover it up and instead get sand inside of her body? Like what? But
like then all your work's just it's done for. Like that's no, you don't want to do that. Like I've done a bit of robotics in the past, and one of the first things you learn in robotics is don't keep stuff that can get inside the machinery near the machinery. You don't want water near your stuff, you don't want liquid near your stuff, and you certainly don't want sand near your stuff. Get that stuff away from it. Cover it up. Like no.
So moving on to Peacemaker. Have you watched it?
I haven't seen episode 4 yet because I forgot episode 4 came out because I don't know that day that the episodes drop, but the first 3 episodes were some of the funniest. Oh my god. I was so happy.
It airs on Thursdays.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not surprisingly good because it's James Gunn. I wasn't super interested in the show. Like at first I was like, I'll watch it, and then eventually got to a point where I was like, I don't think I'll watch it. And then people kept saying, "Oh my god, this show's so good, it's so funny." I was like, okay, let me watch it. And I started watching it, and it was hilarious. And I was like, this show is amazing. I don't know why I didn't trust James Gunn. Like he didn't just make like one of the best, if not the best, live action DC film within the DC EU in recent memory. So like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't just trust James Gunn and watch the show to begin with, but it's really funny. Vigilante, a lot of people saying like he's very different than he is in the comics, but that doesn't stop him from being a good character and funny character here, and I like him a lot. He has a great moment in episode 4, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. But yeah, I like Vigilante in the show. He might be my favorite character in the show at the moment. But yeah,
definitely agreed. He was a lot more comic book accurate in the CW, but like they weren't exactly going for accuracy. I mean, Peacemaker has like up until the new Suicide Squad like comic, not the movie, up until the new Suicide Squad comic, Peacemaker had like 14 comic book appearances, and they were all pre 1980. So like, what do you like? You know, like I'm not really looking for accuracy here, and I'm just looking for a fun time. And Vigilante, if anything happens to him, I'm going to be devastated. I love him in this show so much.
So I became aware of a character because of Vigilante in DC universe. That's a parody of Deadpool called Red Tool, and that's interesting. There's a Deadpool parody character in DC called Red Tool. People are like, Vigilante is more like Red Tool than he is like Vigilante is in the comics. And I was like, it would make sense if eventually like Red Tool in the comics takes over the Vigilante mantle and becomes like the Peacemaker version of Vigilante within the comics. I also wouldn't be surprised if within the next year, Vigilante ends up being on the Suicide Squad in the comics, 100%.
I really hope he does, because he's just he was like a, granted, I haven't read much past him from like the 90s, so like I don't even know if he's been in much past the 90s, but like in like the 80s and 90s, it's pretty much just like kind of like Punisher, but like for Batman, like pre-Red Hood, but just like without the emotional connection to Batman. So like, you know, what are you really gonna do, right? Like, it's Vigilante. He kills criminals. That's it. That's pretty much all I was looking for. What are you eating? Is that a cheese puff? I can't see that because of the filter. Pause.
They're like, yeah, they're basically cheese puffs. They're like, they're called like Chester Cheetah's cheese paws. And yeah, that's basically what they are. They're cheese puffs, but in the shape of paws. They're really good, and I've been eating them too much. But that's the first one I've eaten today, and it's like 3 o'clock. So, because before I would just walk by them and be like, I should eat some of them. They're delicious. But it's good in video games. Dying Light 2 gameplay has been on servicing up on the internet, even though the game doesn't come out until like the end of the year, which I feel like is a sign of something good. Because
wait, did it get delayed again? I thought it came out in February.
Wait, does it? Because I'm pretty sure I remember it. Maybe I'm thinking of a different game. I remember it getting delayed.
Please tell me, because I just saw a video about Dying Light 2.
Wait, let me see.
I was just watching a video about Dying Light 2, and they mentioned February as a release date.
Okay.
Don't do this to me.
Okay, it comes out February.
Oh my God, you were about to start crying. Don't do that. Oh my God. That's like one of the few games I'm excited for coming out like in the first half of this year. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, okay, it comes out February 4th. But I like parkour and in video games. You know, we talked about Mirror's Edge last episode, and we talked about this game. And seeing from what I saw, it looks really good. It has a lot of RPG elements. You know how I feel about RPG elements. So that makes me go, I'm gonna have to watch a lot of reviews and a lot more gameplay before I decide if I want to purchase it. But it's also co-op. And unlike with Far Cry, if I get this game, I'm not going to flake on you. I'm going to play this with you on co-op. Because if I get this game.
Finally, jeez.
But no, we do need to play Far Cry co-op.
We do need to play Far Cry co-op. I haven't touched Far Cry.
I'm going to say, I haven't played it in like a couple months. But yeah. Horizon Forbidden West. I'm actually excited for it. It comes out February 18th, like I said, the same day Cuphead releases on Netflix. I'm gonna wait to see if it actually fixes the problems I had with the first one before buying it, but I have a feeling that it will. My 3 biggest problems that I want to see improved upon are the side quests, which were boring to me, the traversal, which was trash, to say the least, and like everybody would like grind to get the unlimited fast travel because traversing was just wasn't fun. And characters, most of the characters were not interesting. And the only character I was really interested in was Silence, who was the character that Lance Reddick plays. And he was the most interesting character in the game to me. But there were characters who like were past characters that exist in the past of that universe that were interesting, but of all of the living characters, Silence was the most interesting. But the world that they built with these robot dinosaurs and animals and stuff, as well as how the world came to be what it is super interesting. It's so interesting. And the parts of the game that I played that went over that, I enjoyed a lot. And I'm hoping that I have a feeling that this game is going to improve upon everything that the first one had and is going to get rid of a lot of those boring, monotonous side quests and make traversal a lot more interesting. They added a glider like Breath of the Wild has. I want to be able to ride a flying robot, but I don't think that's a thing. Otherwise, they would have showed it already. But everybody and their mother, ever since playing the first game, was like, I want to ride that flying robot dinosaur. But it doesn't look like that'll be the case. But I just hope that the traversal is so much more fun. And it doesn't look like it still doesn't look like you'll be able to climb a lot of stuff. Even though it's a game that looks like you should be able to climb everything, because it reminds me of the last few Assassin's Creed games in Breath of the Wild. But unfortunately, that isn't the case. It doesn't look like. But I'm hoping it's good, and that next month I'll actually have some new PS5 games to play. Any thoughts on Horizon? I know you wasn't a big fan of the first one either.
I'm not. I don't understand what all the hype over Horizon is. I don't even find the world that interesting. Like I find the art direction a bit boring or a bit bland. That's never been my thing. I don't like the UI at all. That's honestly what's been keeping me from playing. Well, actually, I think it's called like Returnal or something. But I think it's also on PS5 only. So it's like I couldn't play it if I wanted to. But like I'm not interested in that game at all because the UI design is terrible in my opinion. And the traversal was boring, the characters were boring, the world was boring. I feel like for a world like that, I feel like Dune did it a lot better or a lot more. How do I put like a lot?
You say Dune?
Yeah, no, okay. If you don't know that much about the Dune, like the world of Dune, then that sounds weird, but just take note of the fact that there are no machines in that world and like at all, no computers, no nothing. Just think about that. I don't want to like spoil anything for you, but just think about that. It's hard to explain without like starting to spoil stuff, but it does remind me a lot of Dune, but just Dune did it a whole lot better. Yeah, no, I don't really like Horizon at all. This game, Horizon Forbidden West, had better be the perfect sequel. I'm not. It just doesn't interest me at all, unless it's like gonna wind up being like the perfect sequel, like how Watch Dogs 2 was kind of the perfect sequel to the first game. Then I don't.
I agree. Like Watch Dogs is a good comparison because the first Watch Dogs was okay, but it wasn't fantastic. But the second one was so much better. And I think that Horizon, the first one, is okay. Like I said, it bored me, but I was really interested in the story, and I like shooting arrows in video games. But even in that game, shooting arrows got really repetitive and monotonous. So I stopped doing that. So I stopped playing the game. And I'm hoping that this game is just not as boring. That is literally the only barrier that I have, is that the first game was boring. All this game has to do is hold my attention for, I'm gonna say 75% of the game, because a lot of games can get kind of monotonous if you play it enough. So I'm gonna say for majority of the game, like a good 80%, if you can hold my attention, then that is a major improvement over the first game. That's all I need, is for it to not be boring, and then I'll like it. But Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. What? Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga looks good. You saw the trailer. The combat looks more hack and slash. And it really reminds me of how anime games could work. But before I even talk about that, what do you think about it? It looks really good.
I've been excited for this game since senior year of high school, when all of the information about the game got leaked, and then they stopped showing stuff for Lego Star Wars, and I was like, oh no, are the leaks fake? And then the trailer came out and pretty much confirmed almost everything in the leaks, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm happy now. But I don't know, I've been excited for this game for like the past 3 years at this point. Like my level of hype is pretty much just maintained the exact same where it's been. Like it hasn't gone up or down. It's just been exactly the same. But I'm very excited for it because the last Star Wars game we got was Force Awakens, which I feel like there was a lot in that game that if it was expanded on could have been a perfect, like not just a perfect Lego game, but a perfect Star Wars game, but they didn't really expand on it enough. And it seems like this game is learning from its mistakes.
Yeah, I really in terms of how I think it reminds me of what anime games could be, is that it's following the story of those movies, but it's taking its own liberties, and it's obviously taking a more a goofy, more comedic approach in a lot of ways. And I don't think that's necessarily the approach anime games need to take, but taking an approach of where like you're following the story of the anime, but you're taking your own liberties. You're changing things that don't make majorly change the story, and adding side quests that add on to the story in ways, or just have nothing to do with the story, just adds more gameplay, interesting stuff to do outside of the story, and having it be kind of semi-open world where you can explore a little bit, and having the combat be very character action like a hack and slash type deal, or like maybe even like Batman or Spider-Man. I think it's really cool, and I think that if anime games took a cue from this Lego Star Wars game, they could be even better. They could, or just good in general, because they're not that good to begin with. But also, it makes me excited for whatever the next Lego, Marvel, or DC game is, because those are like the only games where you can play as a speedster, and I like playing as speedsters in games, and we need more games where you can play as a speedster. So I would love to see what they would do with the next DC or Lego Marvel game, and how much bigger and better those games would be, just like this one is in comparison to other Star Wars Lego games.
You should get Lego The Incredibles, because Lego Dash is like the fastest Lego speedster in a video game. No, I think Lego Sonic is the fastest Lego character in a DC or in a Lego video game from Lego Worlds or whatever it was. But I think Dash is the second fastest, like in his own game, because there was like a YouTube video I watched a while back where it was like comparing all the speedster speeds, and I think Dash was like
second a long time ago as well.
Yeah, I think Dash was second fastest. So like you might want to check out Lego The Incredibles.
Yeah, I just need a Flash game, man. I just need a Flash game. But
you just reminded me real quick. I want an open world Naruto game so bad. Like it doesn't necessarily have to follow like completely the story of Naruto, or like you could do something like Xenoverse where it takes a lot of liberties but kind of follows the main story. But I just want an open world Naruto game so bad. I don't know why it hasn't been done. Like the closest thing is the Storm games, but like those aren't fully open world to the point where I want them to be open world. Like I want an open world.
Explore the entirety of the village, and then like go off to missions like in other places. Like, it could be good. It could be great. You're right. That would be amazing. But Microsoft is attempting to acquire Activision Blizzard for $70 billion. That's a lot of money.
I'm holding back the loudest groan of my life. I am so irritated by this.
So like, the deal won't close until around 2023, so there's a chance it might not go through. But there's competition, and then there's a monopoly. I love Xbox, and Bethesda acquisition was a smart move. But now with Activision and Blizzard, they would have way too much power. That would mean tons of popular third-party games might be exclusive to Xbox. And that just doesn't sit right with me. And this isn't a like, but if Sony did it, it would be okay type of thing. No, if Sony did this, I would also be upset, because I don't like monopolies no matter who it is. Like, I like a lot of stuff Disney makes, but they're damn near a monopoly, and I don't like that. Like, they purchased 20th Century Fox. Like, and now Microsoft is being the game equivalent of Disney right now, and I don't like that. How you feeling, brother?
I hate this so much. It's already bad enough that they bought Bethesda, which, say what you will about that, but I mean, like, I was okay with it until they said that Elder Scrolls 6 was going to be Xbox exclusive. And
everything Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, no, now like that makes me so irritated. And I hear the argument of if Sony did it, it would be okay. No, it wouldn't, because there's a difference.
It wouldn't.
They bring up Spider-Man all the time, but there's a difference between taking a character and taking an entire like multi-franchise like games that have been on both systems previously since these games have been out. There's a major difference there. Exactly. That's not cool. I would not be okay if Sony did that, because that's not cool. Regardless, that just limits gamers altogether.
And when you remove the competition from the board, things become stagnant. The reason competition exists and the way the economy works is so that they're constantly pushing each other to be better. And if there's no one there to push you to be better, you get stagnant. You know what else happens? Prices go up because there's nobody they're competing with to be cheaper so that more people buy their thing. Therefore, they could drive the prices up because where else are you going to get your video games? Huh? Nowhere except Xbox. So we could make you pay $700 for our console and you can't say anything about it. So like, yeah, monopolies suck and it's illegal. So hopefully this doesn't happen. Hopefully it doesn't go through because it has not gone through, unlike a lot of headlines would make it seem. They have not bought Activision Blizzard. They are attempting to buy Activision Blizzard and it won't go through until around 2023. So hopefully this doesn't happen. So it's all bad, but the only good thing that I could think of is maybe we could get Prototype back, which is an Activision game. And if nobody knows what Prototype is, it was an open world character action.
I love Prototype.
You play as Alex Mercer, a man who possesses powerful shape-shifting abilities, superhuman strength, speed, agility, durability, senses, endurance, weaponry, and the abilities to consume people, gain their memories, their skills, and their appearance. It was essentially, for all intents and purposes, a Venom game, and it was fun as hell. And there were 2 of them. And imagining that game with today's tech, it could be amazing. Honestly, I would settle for just a remake of the first game. But if you made a new one, dude.
I heard rumors of a remake, but like that never came through. Like I'm like, where's my remake? That game was so awesome. And I'll always be salty for what they did in the second game because I like Alex as a character, and they just made him a villain in the second game. I'm like, no.
But like honestly, I'm really hoping that Insomniac does what they did with Miles Morales and like make a Venom game after the second Spider-Man game and make a Venom game where you play as Venom in New York or whatever city they decide to put it in. Maybe they even do Venom in San Francisco or something so that it makes sense that Venom's active and Spider-Man's not around to stop him. That could be interesting. Also, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion that we're probably going to end up getting anti-Venom because you have Negative Man, you have Venom. Eventually something's going to happen. And, anti-Venom's going to become a thing. But yeah.
With all this like Insomniac universe of games, and I'm of course everyone's gonna know I'm gonna want a Superior Spider-Man game, obviously, at some point, or like a Superior Spider-Man spinoff or something where he's in San Francisco. Yes. But like, and of course I'm gonna want that. That might even happen. Honestly, it's not all that far of a possibility. I want a 2099.
Yeah, my dude, we talked about this before. I want 2099 so bad because he can kind of fly. But also the city would have more verticality, which would be so cool. I love me some verticality in video games. And it's Spider-Man, so swinging around would be even better with higher, taller buildings. And it would just be
imagine the tricks that you'd be able to pull off once you master the traversal between like the flying cars and the super high buildings. Oh my god, that game would be so good.
It would be so good. And also, what was I thinking? I would want them to, with this Superior Spider-Man storyline, I want them to do a Clone Saga, right? And I want that Clone Saga to end with like Superior Spider-Man becoming a thing. But like, I think them doing a Clone Saga in the movie universe could work. And it would
work really well. They've already hinted at it really heavily with the end of the first game. And then they said that the reason they didn't put the Superior Spider-Man suit in the first game was because it would be too weird because Doc Ock was the villain. And then the Spider-Geddon tie-in with Superior going to the Insomniac universe and picking up Insomniac Spider-Man for the event, they like it's guaranteed at this point that we're at least gonna get Superior in a game. But I want him to have his own game. Like, I don't want them to do what Marvel did, which I'm still pissed about, where they gave him all this character development and then just had him return to the status quo. And I'm like, that was ridiculous. That was over like 10 years of character development down the drain. Like, no.
Superior Octopus in San Francisco doing his thing. But last but not least, Troy Baker is in NFTs. So Troy Baker, a few weeks ago, announced on Twitter a partnership with Voice First NFTs. Voice First is dedicated to AI voiceover tech that would replicate famous voices and use them without getting the permission from said voice actor. A lot of people equated this to him aiding in him destroying his industry, his voice acting industry. People are saying that Abby from The Last of Us Part 2 was right, which is hilarious. But there's a podcast I listen to called Play Watch Listen, hosted by Alana Pierce, that also features she's a former games journalist for IGN, and she's currently writing on God of War Ragnarok. But also on this podcast is Austin Wintory, who's a video game composer and an indie video game developer named Mike Bithell, and lastly, Troy Baker, voice actor. So like they like made an emergency episode where they were like, okay, let's talk about this. And everybody else on the podcast were just basically just tearing into him, like, dude, you're an idiot. Why did you do this? And he was like, yeah, I'm stupid. I didn't want to immediately, I don't like to immediately vilify people, but so when I saw it, I was like, this fucked up. Because NFTs, for people who don't know, they're bad for the environment. NFTs are hard to explain. It took me a while to fully understand what they were, but eventually I did understand what they were. For the life of me, I didn't even try to think about explaining them for the sake of this discussion. So I don't even know how to. But essentially, if I had to try,
they're hard to explain.
The process of storing as well as transferring NFTs use a massive amount of energy, and a lot of the energy used to do that are fuels that hurt the environment, and that's why NFTs are bad. They can quite literally hurt the environment, as even though it sounds weird to think that just storing this data and transferring it to people would hurt the environment, it is. And that's why people dislike NFTs so much. And seeing this person who I thought was, he's a great voice actor. He's in a lot of games that I love. Dude, I was like, man, that sucks. People, voice actors, people in, trying to get into voice acting really look up to this guy. And to see someone, for them to see somebody that they look up to do something like this, they are just like, man, so disappointing. But like I said, I don't like to immediately vilify people, so I waited. They finally posted the episode. I watched it. And he's not doing it anymore, obviously, because he's not stupid, and he realized how bad it looked. His friends sat down, had a conversation with him, and explained it to him, like, why he was being an idiot and why what he was doing was ridiculous. And his thought process was that if the technology already exists in terms of replicating voice using AI, then it was going to happen anyway. So why not give any, like, this is the big part, is that he wanted to give any developers the ability to use these voices, specifically his voice, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford these people. But like, those people wouldn't be getting paid for it, which is obviously wrong. You can't just take someone's voice and use it without paying them for using their stuff. And that's where another problem came in outside of NFTs. That was ridiculous. That I don't even know why he thought this was a good idea. It was just overall stupid on his part. And yeah, made him look like an idiot. That's all I have to say about it. You want to go before we wrap this up?
NFTs, just as a practice, are incredibly predatory. I didn't understand much about them until one day I was watching, I don't know if you watch Russian Badger. He's hilarious. He's a YouTuber, and he also streams on Twitch. If you don't watch him, you should watch him. He's hilarious. But he was streaming on Twitch. He was playing Battlefront 2, and I was watching it. I was just like half listening while playing something else on my computer or on my PlayStation. And they were talking about NFTs, and I was like, and like talking about how predatory they were, and like how they'd like how people were trying to equate them to cryptocurrency, and how they like, even the creator of cryptocurrency was like, that's not how this works. Like, he was like, and they were talking about that, and I was like, well, everybody's talking about NFTs, and it seems like they're gonna wind up gaining a lot of traction in the future, so I might as well start to understand them. So I started doing a lot of research on them. They are terribly predatory. Like, they steal artists' work, they steal other people's work. They don't do anything in the long run. They're not, people are trying to equate them to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. They're not cryptocurrency, and they're not Bitcoin. That's not how any of that works.
Like, a lot of people are saying that, similar to like some people say this about cryptocurrency, that it probably is just a ploy to launder money. For people who don't understand how like laundering money works, this essentially is, you have dirty money that if you just randomly, let's say me at the moment, if I just randomly got $1 million and with no explanation, the government would be like, how'd you come across all this money there, friend? We don't see any records of this. How is this happening? And to put that money back into your pocket, like laundering money is a way to put the money back into your pocket in a way that will trick the government into thinking that it is just income that you're making rather than income that you made illegally. And people are thinking that both cryptocurrency and NFTs are a way for people to launder money, and that is probably a big reason why people are trying to, especially rich people, are trying to make it take off. But then there are also people who are honestly being taken advantage of, people who are being convinced that it is the future, and just don't truly understand how it works and end up getting burnt because of it. And yeah, like you said, it's extremely predatory. They steal people's work all the time, like especially when it comes to art NFTs. People just steal people's work, make it an NFT and sell it, and then that person who originally made it, who sometimes they do it with dead people's work, they don't see any cent. They don't see any money from that, and it sucks. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly that. And when you said it's money laundering, that's exactly what it is. Like, it's not even like they're not even trying to hide the fact. It's just literally money laundering, just without the name money laundering. Like, it's literally money laundering, and like it's not cool, man. It's terrible. I think what irritates me the most is that probably because I'm not gonna say almost part of this, but I was almost in the same boat where like I didn't understand it. I just heard people talking about it. And like some people that I even like looked up to as like influencers and stuff like that, which I don't really follow a lot of influencers, but like it's inevitable that you begin to like celebrities and stuff like that. So like some of the people,
some people try to make people feel bad for looking up to celebrities, but it's like, it is okay for you to look up to someone in a field that you like, whose work you enjoy. It is fine to do that. You have to be realistic with yourself and realize they are humans, and they might, and you don't know them like personally, so there might be things that you don't know about them that suck. You have to be prepared for that, but it's okay to look up to someone. And I feel like a lot of people on the internet always try to make it seem like it is a bad thing to look up to a celebrity. It's not. You just have to be realistic about it and realize that they're humans, and there's shit that they might be up to that is bad, or that they might make mistakes and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, no, thank you for that, because that's pretty much exactly how I feel about it. But yeah, no, like I'll see like influencers and stuff like that, like talk about NFTs, and I'm like, it relies on the fact that one, it's hard to really understand and explain what it is. Like, it's incredibly hard. It took me a lot of hours of research to really start understanding what it was. And then it's predatory on people's artwork, people's personal property, and it's literally just money laundering, and like in the most blatant, disrespectful fashion.
For me, the most disappointing person who I found out was into NFTs, other than when Troy Baker did it, but obviously he's not doing it anymore, was an artist by the name of Raph Grassetti. He is a concept artist. I think he was lead artist on God of War, and he's still working on God of War Ragnarok. He is big in NFTs, and he makes a lot of beautiful artwork. He made this beautiful, he works with a combination of 3D models and paintings. So he'll make a 3D model and then he'll paint over it and make it look real nice. And he did one with a bunch of Batman the Animated Series characters. He like would take their Batman the Animated Series designs and translate it to 3D and then like paint over it and make it look real cool. And I really liked his art, and he's working on a game that I'm gonna end up buying, but way more people than him are working on it. But like, I was just so sad when I found out he was doing NFTs, because I love his art so much. And I was like, man, why'd you have to go and ruin it? Who else is doing it? Boss Logic, who honestly, the more, because I feel like he was a person that I followed early on in my time on social media. Honestly, his work isn't that good for me to care enough to unfollow him. Honestly, I don't think his work is that good.
I was gonna say, I love Boss Logic. I'm not unfollowing him for that. Like, unless I see people like predatorily like pushing NFTs on people, I really don't care. I just think it's disappointing. But like, I'm not gonna unfollow Boss Logic. I like his work. I'm not really gonna.
Yeah, I unfollowed Raph on Twitter. I didn't unfollow him on Instagram because I was like, his art is too good. But Boss Logic, I think it was the same thing with Boss Logic. I unfollowed him on Twitter, but I don't even see his post often enough on Instagram to unfollow him.
I didn't follow. I didn't
But
even know
also,
he had Twitter. It makes sense that he does. I just
but I
never
also
really
do stand by the fact that the more I grow as an artist, the more I look at his art and go, it's magical what he can do with Photoshop, but it's also like not so amazing that I think it's like worth continuing to follow.
honestly same. A lot of what he does on Photoshop, I'm like, that's really cool. I'm not gonna say I could do the same, but I could probably impress myself on Photoshop too. I mean, a lot of what we did in Harris's class was Photoshop. Like a lot of what we did was Photoshop and Illustrator, like a lot of like the Adobe programs. And I'm like,
I
I'm
just
just kind
always,
of
yeah, I
too
just
broke
always,
to buy Photoshop.
yeah, I was always just hope that eventually they see the error of their ways and just go, you know what, maybe this is stupid. But yeah, NFTs bad. You heard it here first. No, you didn't. But you heard it.
You heard it everywhere else first. But
This is the first time you're hearing us say it. So yeah, NFTs bad, and we're gonna wrap this up. Uh, as usual, you can find my app below me, and you can find Amir's app below him, as well as the Muscrest app below that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.